Hi there, welcome to Movement with Leslie. I'm excited to share today a chair stretching session, and all you will need is a chair and a yoga block and a tennis ball. If you don't have a yoga block or a tennis ball, please don't let it deter you. You can absolutely do everything pretty much that we're going to tackle easily. So don't worry about that. But if you do have a tennis ball or some type of maybe a water bottle or a rolling pin from the kitchen, we're going to take the tennis ball and we're going to begin to roll the soles of our feet. So I'm going to put some pretty good pressure. I'm making sure that it feels good. Everything we do should feel good. It may be kind of challenging, but it feels good. And I'm going to work around on all the aspects of my foot. So I'm going to get the outer border of my foot. And of course, I'm going to get the middle of my foot, which everybody does immediately because it feels so good. And I'm going to get the inside border of my foot. And then I'm going to roll the ball of my foot. And I'm going to quickly move through these things. This is near my toes where I'm rolling the ball of my foot. And then I'm going to roll my toes also. But if you feel like you should spend a little more time, 30 to 60 seconds on this particular activity, please go for it. I'm also going to roll my heel. Your Achilles tendon's attached there, and that can be a really tight area of your foot. So we're going to just roll that out really well. And then we're going to go to the other side. So we roll the plantar fascia. It's that soft tissue in the arch of our foot. And we want it to be strong, but we also want it to be pliable because it has a really important job for our foot as we walk. So this is good stuff to help the articulation of our feet and navigate all the places that we walk. Make sure you do the inside border, the outside border, the ball of your foot, your toes, your heel, and spend more time if you feel that's something you need to do. The tightness in your feet relates all the way to the top of your head, so it's really important to make sure that your feet are nimble. And that's what's going to happen next. We're going to take our yoga block and we're going to put it in front of our right foot, and we're going to put our right foot in on top of it, and we're going to start to draw a circle. Now, if you don't have a yoga block, don't worry. Maybe you could just pick up your leg so that it's a bit passive. It's not too much, using your muscles to lift your leg because your leg's kind of heavy. So, yoga block or hold your leg with your hands. Make a nice circle one way and then make a nice circle the other way. And you're going to want to watch this because it's really good for the mind-body connection. It's also really good for stress. It helps to alleviate stress. Now, for a second here, spread your toes as wide as you can and wave them. This is called the toe wave. Really healthy to spread your feet apart because your feet should very much be like your hands. They should be articulative. They should be nimble. So we're waving our toes a little bit here, and then we're going to go to our other side. So we'll put our heel up on the yoga block, and we'll proceed to make a nice perfect circle. We'll watch it because it's really good for our mind. And each side is so different. So go the other way. You might feel like this is more, not loose, but just a little more free versus the other foot, or vice versa. None of us have equal right and left sides of our body. Okay, now spread your toes apart and do your toe wave. Here's another example. I could really spread my other foot's toes. This one's a little harder. Probably need to stretch my toes a little more. I haven't done that in a while. Okay, and then we're going to put this foot down and we're going to move the block and move your tennis ball definitely out of the way because we're pretty much done with that and we don't want to trip on it. All right, so I'm going to pick up my right thigh with my hands and I'm going to swing my right knee. So the knee is the biggest synovial joint in your body. There's a lot of fluid in your knee. There's a lot of soft tissue in and around your knee. So we're kind of lubing it up right now, especially the meniscus, straightening and bending. Okay, and we're going to do that with the other side. We're going to pick up our left leg and we're going to swing it. Get it nice and well oiled. Okay, remember, you can spend as much time as you would like. I'm kind of just giving you a nice progression, and you can absolutely work on certain areas that you feel are really profound for you. Now, scoot forward in your seat, take your legs wide, and do a little drop of your hips and your legs. I always call these the windshield wipers. But we're kind of like taking our leg bone inside our hip and we're kind of moving things around. So we're doing a lube job for our hips right now. So you can do 10, 20, but after you do several, you're going to stop, and this could be kind of strong, placing your right ankle on your left thigh. Okay, if that's kind of strong, you can always take your yoga block and just place your right foot on the yoga block. But let your knee flop out. And what we're going to proceed to do is take our hands and we're going to move our leg just like this. We're going to take the knee and move it up and let it come down. And we're just, again, lubricating our hip socket. And we're stretching some pretty strong, powerful muscles too. Okay, very good. So we're going to do the other side, and the sides are completely different. So maybe you're going to use a block for your foot, or maybe you're just going to be like, wow, this is so much stronger, or not as strong as the other side. That's very normal. So we're just going to move this around and scour our hip sockets. And when you feel tension diminish a little bit, that's your cue to kind of move on. So the next thing we're going to do is concentrate on moving these hip bones, but keeping our feet planted. So it's kind of like a kid is sitting in a chair that's getting impatient, okay? So we're going to take our right hip and we're going to hitch it. And we're going to take our left hip and we're going to hitch it up. So I'm hitching my hips, and I'm going to move my hands so you can see this. But my head stays pretty balanced. Like if I had my yoga block on top of my head, I sort of have a weird shaped head, so I'm not sure if this thing will balance. But I would want to keep my book or my yoga block on top of my head while I hike a hip and hike a hip and hike a hip. Okay, good. Now here's the next thing, and I'm going to turn sideways in my chair so you can see this. You don't turn sideways in your chair, just I do, because I want you to notice how I tuck my tailbone under and I stick my tailbone out and I roll behind my sitting bones and I roll in front of those two sitting bones. But I'm only moving my lower spine and my pelvis. I can still balance a book right on top of my head. And this is quite stretchy and muscular. You'll probably notice that, wow, this is like a lot for my abs, and that's like a bonus right there. Okay, so we'll do like 7 or 8 of those. Okay, and then we're gonna kind of change it up a little bit. And we're going to reach our arms out to the side with our palms up. And we're going to imagine that our ribs are on top of a kitchen countertop. And we're going to take our ribs and we're going to shift them and shift. So I'm balancing my book and I'm shifting my ribs, sliding on this imaginary kitchen top back and forth. And you're going to notice that this is quite physical. It's a little bit stretchy and it's quite physical. Okay, you can do as many of those as you would like. I'm going to turn sideways for the next thing. You don't turn sideways, just me. All right, so I'm going to sit on my sitting bones and I'm going to push my ribs forward and I'm going to push my ribs back. So I'm going to push my ribs forward. So if my ribs were on a countertop, they'd slide forward, they would slide back. I can basically balance my book on my head. My shoulder blades squeeze together when I push forward. My shoulder blades separate when I push back. And we'll do 2 or 3 more sets. And then we'll come back to the center. All right, so this is about taking our ribs and sliding one side to the hips and then sliding the other side to the hips. Okay, but my sitting bones are they're my guide. They have to stay in the chair. So I'm not going to go so far where I feel my hip comes out of the chair. Okay, very good. Now, sit tall and you're going to work on your hands. We're just going to kind of skip a couple things and work on these next. So take your hands and make strong fists and then spread them wide to stretch. Do that again. Make fist, spread them wide and stretch. Do that again. Make fist, spread them wide and stretch. Now make soft fist and do a nice circle of your wrist, just like your ankles. And then go the other way. Good. And then take your elbows and move them like you did with your knees. So we're just lubricating our elbow joint. Elbow joint's similar to a knee, but then again, it's much more complicated and different, very, very different. But it bends and it straightens. Okay, very good. Now, take the right side of your rib cage, tilt it to the right hip. Take your left hand, put your fingers on your shoulder, and start to draw a circle out to the side of you with your elbow. And if it's kind of uncomfortable, maybe you're going to kind of change the way that it's circling. Maybe it needs to come more forward. Maybe you need to point your elbow more down. But it shouldn't be uncomfortable and it shouldn't be very noisy. So if it's noisy, you need to try to fix it. If you can't fix it, you stop. Okay, here's the other direction. And sometimes when you change the direction, it gets noisy. But you're tilted, so it kind of frees up your shoulder a little bit. Okay, bring this down. And let's tilt to the left and take our right fingers. And let's draw that circle with our right elbow. So we're drawing this circle. Making sure that it's not too noisy, because we don't want to lose our cartilage in our joints. Cartilage is like gold. We definitely don't want to lose those. Let's go the other way. Okay, very good. Now when we side bend, we're going to reach an arm over our ear. So I'm going to exhale, go this direction, and then I'm going to inhale, exhale, go to this direction. Okay, I'm going to go back and forth, reaching my arm. Okay, and if it feels uncomfortable for my shoulder, my neck, maybe I'll just leave my hands right in my lap. Okay, you do not want to be uncomfortable. Your body has to like everything that you do. Okay, our sitting bones are planted as we finish the last set. Okay, very good. Now we're going to rest our hands in our lap and we're going to rotate our ribs right and left, okay? So our hands are relaxed and we're going to rotate our ribs to the right and look over our right shoulder. And we're going to rotate our ribs to the left and look over our left shoulder. So we're going to go back and forth, stretching one side while you contract the other side. And hopefully every time you do another set, you look further and further behind you. Okay, come back to the center. Really good. All right, so now this is about the most delicate part of our spine. It's our neck. And our neck is very mobile so that we can look around and see things all around us every day. So the neck is very mobile, and because of that, it tends to take a lot of stress and gets injured a lot. So as I tell you to look up and down with your eyes, if it's uncomfortable, don't do it, or do very little ones, okay? Because that's what we're going to do. We're going to sit tall on our sitting bones and we're going to look up, and then we're going to look down. Again, we're going to look up and we're going to look down. Again, we're going to look up and we're going to look down. One more time. Very good, and sit nice and tall. Okay, so now it's time to put our whole spine together in the cat and the cow. So I'm going to turn sideways, you don't, but I want you to see how your spine should bend back and forth with cat and cow from yoga. Okay, so when you inhale, you push your ribs forward, and when you exhale, you push your ribs back. So when I inhale forward, I squeeze my shoulder blades together, but when I exhale round back, my shoulder blades spread apart, okay? And I stick my tailbone out when I go forward, and I tuck my tailbone under when I go back. So we'll do 3 sets, exhale, 2 sets, exhale, 1 more set, exhale. All right, very good. Sit up nice and tall. Okay, so we're going to stand up and do a couple of good stretches in a standing position. So you're going to want to come behind your chair. And we're going to stretch our calf muscles, our feet and our calf muscles. So I'm going to use the chair for support and have my feet underneath my hips, and then I'm going to lunge back with my right foot, and I'm going to ground the heel into the floor behind me with my knees straight. I'm also going to make sure that I don't see my right heel too much. If I see my right heel too much, I need to put the heel behind my foot. Okay, and this is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to just stay here and feel this strong stretch inside our calf muscle. And we'll hold it for 3 and 2 and 1. You can absolutely hold it for a minute, okay? Now you'll bend the knee, maybe just like a third of a bend, and you push through the heel still, and you'll feel your calf stretch change a little bit. It'll be a little bit lower in your leg near your heel. And you'll hold this for 3 and 2 and 1, and then you'll step together and you'll do your other leg. So lunge back, make sure it's a good stretch, and your knee is straight. And when you look, you don't see your left heel too much. It's behind your foot. Okay, and we'll stay here. Breathe for 3, 2, and 1. Okay, then we're going to bend the knee, and you are trying to keep your heel down, but it's okay if your heel lifts. But you are thinking about trying to drive it to the floor. Okay, a little different part of the calf muscles stretching. Hold for 3, hold for 2, and hold for 1. Okay, well done. Step together. All right, now this stretch is about our upper body, and I know if you have a little chair, this might be challenging. You might want to go to a higher object in your room, but we're going to put our right elbow on top of the back of the chair, lower our chest, and pat our spine with our right fingers as low as we can. And we're going to hold this for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to do the other side. So we're going to drop our head, put our body weight into this stretch for our shoulder and arm, pat ourselves on the back, hold this for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, very good. And then we're going to stand tall, and we're going to be behind our chair. I think I'll be okay being square on here so you guys can see. We're going to stand behind our chair, but we're going to take a really wide stance with our legs. And we're going to have our toes point forward. We have our chair here for support. And we're going to bend our right knee and shift our body to the right. And we're going to bend our left knee and shift our body to the left. And we're going to go back and forth just like this, stretching the inside of our legs, stretching the inside of our hips. We'll do 5 and 4, and you can hold these. You know, this is just a guide for you, but you could absolutely stay on one side if it felt like it was really stronger than the other side, a little bit more tight. Okay, now bring your feet together. Very good. I'm going to turn my chair. You don't have to, but make sure you have space behind you to do this last part where you put your hands on the top of the seat of the chair, the back of the chair, and you drop your chest while you stick your tailbone up in the air. Your feet are underneath your hips, and this is called down dog in yoga, and I want you to sway your hips side to side and move around all these muscles that you have on a stretch. 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, then walk to your chair. Now you want the chair seat to face you. Okay, and I want you to put your hands nice and wide on your chair. Spread them apart so they look like a starfish. Have your index fingers point forward and your elbows point back. Bend the knees a little bit, and I want you to shift your body weight forward to stretch your hands. I'm just rhythmically doing this, and your forearms. So if you can, just hold the stretch and press your palms and your heels of your hands into the chair while you hold it. Great, but you could also just go back and forth. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, very good. We're coming back to sitting in our chair. We're almost there with our stretches. Okay, so take your yoga block, put it in front of your right leg, put your right foot on top of the block, and I want you to reach your left arm up as you sit tall, and I want you to fold over and reach as close to your right foot as possible. It's okay if you can't touch your foot. You can just reach for your calf or your ankle, but you're going to think about doing cow pose while you're here. So you're going to keep your chest up and stick your tailbone out, and you're going to hold this for 3. This is for our hamstrings, the back of the leg. 2 and 1. Very good. And we're going to switch sides. So we're gonna prop up our left foot, and you don't have to have a yoga block. You can just have your legs straight in front of you. Sit up tall as you reach your right arm and take a big breath. And then exhale, fold over, okay? Whether you touch your foot or you can grab your calf or your ankle, as long as you're stretching, that's good. So keep your chest up, stick your tailbone out, breathe for 3 and 2 and 1. Very good. And then come back up. Let's continue on and do a deep stretch right here for the front of the hips. So we're going to turn to the right and hang our left hip off the side of the chair. Then I'm going to reach my left leg back with my toes curled under and try to straighten my knee to stretch right here in the front of my thigh. So keep your eyes up, keep your chest up, and if you want to make it a little stronger, but it has to feel good, you can float your left arm up and you can side bend to the back of the chair. But you have to have your eyes up, okay, and breathe for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now bring your arm down slowly. Bring your leg in front of you, okay, and sit completely to the side with your body, okay? Now your hips and your legs stay here, but you're going to take your ribs and your hands and turn to the back of the chair, push with your right, pull with your left, and look over your shoulder to stretch your spine. So this is just awesome for muscles all around the back of our ribs, also the abdominal muscles in the front of our ribs. Keep looking for 3, 2, and 1, and then slowly rotate back. Okay, so let's do the other side. So I hang my right hip off the side of the seat, and I reach my right leg back so I get this fantastic stretch. And I keep my chest up and I keep my eyes up just so that it'll stretch even more. Okay, and if this is awesome, then you don't need to do anything. If you feel like you can make it a little stronger, you can float your right arm up and side bend to the left. But you want to keep your chest up, you want to keep your eyes up, and hold this for 3 and 2 and 1. Okay, now bring the arm down, ease your leg carefully, especially if you have a little bit of sacroiliac kind of things going on. Sit all the way into the chair facing the left. Your hips stay here, but your ribs turn to the back of the seat. And you push with your left hand on one side and you pull with your right. And you look over your left shoulder and you breathe for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. And then we slowly unwind and we slowly turn to the center. So we're doing a good job here, moving up the chain. Okay, this is about a deep, deep stretch, okay? We take the yoga block in the right hand, we put it on the floor next to us, okay? If it feels better for it to be more forward, do it. If it feels better to be further back, do it. But the biggest thing is you want to really press your palm into the block, float your left arm up, try to keep your left sitting bone in the chair, and then breathe this arm over your ear as you look up for 4, 3, 2, and 1, and come up, and we'll do the other side. So we'll plant the left heel of the hand on the yoga block. We'll float this arm up, and we'll think about our right sitting bone in the seat. And maybe we'll breathe this arm over our ear, but we have to look past our arm, Keep looking up. Keep your chest lifted. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we'll come back up. Good. Okay, just one more stretch, and it's with the delicate part of our spine, the neck. We're going to sit on our right palm underneath our right sitting bone. Okay, so get your palm as much as you can underneath your sitting bone. Okay, sit up really tall and tuck your chin towards your Adam's apple. Now, we're going to tilt our left ear to our left shoulder while we feel this stretch go down the side of our right side of our neck, down the right side of our shoulder. Okay, so my chin is tucked, I'm looking straight ahead, and I'm tilting my ear for 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Okay, very good. Bring your head back up. Ease your hand out. Now we're going to sit on our left palm as much as we can underneath our sitting bone. Okay, sit up really tall. Tuck your chin. Look straight ahead and tilt your right ear to your right shoulder. Okay, so stay here and breathe for 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. And then we'll ease our hand out, and we're going to just put it all together by standing up behind our chairs. Hold lightly with a couple of fingers on the back of the chair. Have our feet make up the sides of a letter H, and they're aligned under our hips. And look straight ahead while we tap our heels. And while we bounce our heels on the floor, we're going to relax our jaw, relax our neck, relax our shoulders, and just jostle our body to kind of integrate all the stretching that we've done for this session. So we're going to do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Very good. So that completes our stretching. I hope you enjoy it. Again, make sure that it feels good. If it doesn't feel good, maybe just skip that part or try to modify it. But you want to be really careful. This should not feel uncomfortable. It's to make you feel better when you're done. So thanks so much for joining me. You guys take good care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.